This is the June meeting of the Wyoming Board of Education. I call this meeting to order. May I please have a roll call?
Mrs. Broderick.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mrs. Yee.
Here.
Mrs. Aller.
Here. Would you all please join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have our regular meeting, which is a rather full meeting this evening, but we also have some celebrations and recognitions going on to make it most enjoyable. So I'd like to begin first with the appointment. The Board of Education followed through on the process and has appointed Justin Buckner to fill the seat that is being vacated by Aaron Meese. And Mr. Buckner's term will be June 28th, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. So may I have a motion to approve the appointment?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Yee.
Yes.
Mrs. Aller.
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick.
Yes.
Welcome.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Thank
So
you.
that lets us go to the next step, which is swearing you in. So Mrs.
All right.
Johnson, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Justin, you ready to make this official?
I am ready. Let's do it.
If you would, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Justin Buckner,
swear and affirm
swear and affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will perform faithfully
and that I will perform faithfully
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a member of the Board of Education of the Wyoming City School District.
as a member of the Board of Education of the Wyoming City School District.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, Justin.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you. All right. Now we're going to get right to work, Justin. Here we go.
Let's do it.
All right. Next thing, though, is to recognize our departing board member, Mr. Meese, who's over there in the corner, or he's in my corner, sorry. So we're going to bring in some people here. Aaron, on behalf of the Board of Education, I thank you for your service to this district. You and I are, we've been through a lot. We have done everything that the state of Ohio says boards should do. We found a new superintendent. We found a new treasurer twice. And we've been through, I think, 2 levies together. And we've also been through a pandemic. So I thank you for always being there and adding what you added to our board, your information from your personal life as a father, but also from your professional life, added tremendously to the workings of this Board of Education. And so on behalf of the Board of Education, I thank you for your service. I have a number of people who want to speak. I put it in a list because I was afraid on Zoom I might miss faces. So I'm going to ask Tim, if you don't mind, if you would begin.
I would be happy to. I'd be happy to. Aaron, I just want to say thank you for your incredible leadership. Been in awe as to how you have worked with our board, with our staff, with our community, and the many great things that you have done. We often talk about impact, and I like to go to that word impact. And especially from your role, you might not always see how that impact plays out, but I can promise you the impact that you've made on students, the impact that you've made on our staff, on our families, on me, and everyone you see on the screen is immense. And so I just wanted to say I appreciate what you've done for all of us and what you've done for Wyoming City Schools. It goes a long, long way, well after today.
Thank you. Lynn Larson, may I switch over to you now, please.
Just,
Linda,
yes,
I'm
got
just
it.
going to introduce you as a former member of the Wyoming Board of Education. Sorry, go.
No, thank you. So, yes, you're right. Just fast 4 years ago, I too concluded my service on Wyoming's Board of Education. Aaron, I am sure you have mixed emotions about leaving this board to pursue your new passions. No one can serve this district better than you, right? Well, the new board will, and you all already have. So first, I want to say thank you to the entire board and Tim Weber for navigating a very challenging past year and a half. I could easily surmise some of your normal challenges like student learning successfully, construction projects, curriculum quests, and contract negotiations. But add into that for the last year and a half, students and staff safety, that's monumental. Are you in school? Are you not in school? Or both? It's hard to keep track of, let alone navigate. So thank you to all for keeping our students learning. Aaron, I have long admired your perspective as a university administrator and leader. It has served you well in your service on this board. Your voice has been invaluable to keeping the educational needs of all students in the forefront. Thank you for your 8 years of service, your dedication and leadership to our very wonderful Wyoming school district, its students, and its community. Best wishes to you and your family, and I hope you are emotionally giddy the next time you say, I can do that. I don't have a board meeting.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. I'd also like to turn to another former Board of Education member, Deborah Alsop. If you would like to say a few words.
Yes, I'd like to say and I'll tell you how I reached that conclusion. As a former Wyoming City School Board member, I rarely ever come back for a board meeting. And that's by design because I'm real comfortable with the way that I left the board 11 years ago. There have been just some wonderful stewards of education in this community. So I have other things to do with my time. And Aaron, you have served the district very well. When I started the board, I was told that I only had one board meeting a month. That board meeting lasted 16 and a half years. So I assume that yours has lasted about 8 years. And I thank you for that. I was enlightened when I read the notice that you were going to pursue a doctorate in education. I already thought you had a doctorate. So I was already calling you Dr. Meese all those years. So you might take you might take some joy that many people feel that you're 75% of the way there to getting your doctorate. I really wanted to further say that he has carried himself and even jogged like he had a doctorate up and down the pike. And I admired that also. One of my favorite poets is Maya Angelou, and in one of her more famous quotes, she said, "I have learned that people will forget what you said, and as a board member, sometimes we hope that they do. People will also forget what you did, and similarly, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Aaron, you have served this community with distinction as a board member in an excellent school district. So, that's a very tall order to fill. We will never forget your impact. We will never also forget your approachability and your great smile and your great cadence. May the wind always be at your back and propel you to the greatest heights, Aaron, Dr. Aaron Meese. So I want to thank you and your family for the 8 years and wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Rhonda?
Thank you. Thanks, Jeannie. I just want to take a minute and thank Aaron for his many years of service as a consistent member of our Finance Committee. Finance Committee is one of those other things that meet monthly, but always feels like it's just an ongoing piece because it really takes a significant time commitment to review complex financial details. And Aaron always asks very thorough and insightful questions of our Finance Committee. And I always felt like that led us to make the best financial decisions possible. So just really appreciated his continued service as a finance committee member over all of these years, and also a consistent member of our negotiations team. So really two key committees that drive so many things that end up happening in classrooms. And so just really appreciate your leadership in both of those roles, and was always excited to work closely with you on both of those committees. And we're certainly going to miss that leadership. So thanks, Aaron, for all your good work.
Thank you. Kara?
Yeah, Aaron, I think the comments that people have made really speak to why you're such a fabulous board member. Your approachability, your empathy, your curiosity, your ability to ask just the right question. One thing that I have been so impressed by is this idea when you come onto a board, you become part of this five-legged race. And it's hard to explain what that is until you're actually in the five-legged race, and how we're one body, we're a governing body, and it calls for so much of those qualities. And to be able to build trust with the team, including the administration and the other board members, just your ability to listen, your collaborative nature. I think even when you don't necessarily agree, you are always seeking consensus. And I knew that if we were going to debate something, we were going to debate with a lot of respect, and that the best decision was going to come out of the group of five. And I think in large part because you led when you needed to lead, you listened in the discussion when you needed to listen. And I always felt like, I always trusted, and I still trust, that your agenda is for the kids of Wyoming. And I see you there with Cincy, and you're such a dedicated family person. And like that love you have for your family and that warmth, that just carried over into the board. But you were really always about all kids. I've never sensed any kind of singular agenda, not one time. And I also considered you quite unselfish. Like when your time was pulled being a top administrator at Xavier University, I still marvel at how you found time to participate in the board the way that you did. But when your time did not allow for you to be vice president, you suggested that the roles switch. And I think that is a really unselfish thing to do, and really is about putting the kids first, the kids of our district, the teachers of our district. And I just thank you for your professionalism, the respect you showed everyone on this board at all times. And we're really going to miss you. But I know you'll be participating, because the first time I ever met you, you were leading, I think 11 years ago, a discussion, a book club discussion led by the CAC. And, you know, I have a feeling you'll still be participating in some form or another, even as you pursue your doctorate and stay busy at Xavier. So congratulations on almost 9 years in great service to our district. And just on behalf of the board, thank you very much. And I cannot physically hand you a gift, but we do have a gift that we would like to present you with. Oh, there you go. I'll be glad when these Zoom meetings are done, but pretend that we are in person and handing this to you. Thank you, Cincy. But thanks, Aaron.
Aaron, would you like us all to mute and let you speak?
I didn't get on the list.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't get that message. Please do.
Sorry. I apologize if I was supposed to tell somebody in advance. Heather, you look like you have something you want to say. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you. I will be brief. The thing I'd say is, first of all, I really enjoy being in spaces where the culture is one of appreciation and acknowledgement. And so being in this room tonight, as folks have shared with you, their genuine appreciation is something that reminds me why Wyoming is special. I remember saying to you when we were running for the school board in somebody's home, one of those town hall thingies, if there was only one role on the board and you were in it, I wouldn't be running, because my hope at the time was that I would get the chance to serve with you as a member of this board. Little did I know that would ultimately happen some months later, but it has been a benefit to me and an honor. You've raised the bar, not only in the way you dress and look every time we come together. It's required me to, put my jackets on and try to, look the part in this place, but the way that you've handled yourself in difficult conversations that can sometimes have lots of perspectives and even bring emotions into it, with what Kara said is an interest to really steward the district and really lead in that responsibility well has helped me as I came into the role. And since then, understand some of what that's about. I'll never forget your daughters actually being very gracious with my daughter at 6th grade, Camp Kern, one thing or the other. They didn't know who they were and that I had worked with you at all or what have you, but it's similar to how you have been gracious with me as a person stepping into this board, trying to understand what it really means. To Kara's point, you don't have full perspective on it when you're running to be in it. And then you get there and you sort of hopefully have some people who shepherd and help you understand what it means, the gravity of serving our community in this way. So I just want to thank you for handling that so well, so consistently, and getting a chance to serve with you on this board.
Thank you. Heather?
Oh, I'll be brief because I know we were consolidating. But Erin, it's just been a joy. I mean, I'm echoing everything. I'm not going to reiterate all of it, but from the beginning of before I ran, for you to take time with me to really talk about it, and anytime I see your family, I feel the same way. So I feel like I've been able to learn from you. I enjoy our time together. It was a pleasure serving. Thank you for teaching me the way over the 4 years as well. And we're going to miss you.
Great. It's all yours, Aaron.
Thank you, Jeannie. Well, first off, let me just say thanks to everyone, all of you who spoke. But it's a little overwhelming to hear all of you speak. It's definitely been, in the words of Todd Levy, a labor of love for me. And started out as a volunteer opportunity in the CAC, and so it's humbling to hear all of you, to speak. So I can't thank you enough. And I, in particular, want to thank Lynn and Debbie for coming back. I know they don't make an appearance at board meetings often, so I'm really grateful for the two of them coming back. You guys are role models. I learned what it means to be a board member just from watching the two of you, Debbie from more of a distance, sitting to Lynn's left for 4 years. I learned a ton about the finance committee, about all kinds of, the intricacies of all of the acronyms that you'll get to learn. Justin, just wait. I learned a lot of those from Lynn. So I can't thank the two of you enough for your modeling what it means to be a really good board member. So thank you. I just want to take a few minutes, Jeannie, to say thanks to a few more people, because for me, the time I have to speak, I just want to say thanks. This all, as you all know, is the result of other people helping out in some way, shape, or form, right? We don't do these things alone by any stretch of the imagination, not in my work at Xavier, not in my work in the school board. So I'm going to take this in no particular order. But I want to start by thanking the guy who kind of started it all, and that's Todd Levy. I'll never forget Todd. I was standing at Mayfate since he was on some ride that spins you around 1,000,000 miles an hour. And he was like, you really should think about like volunteering for the CAC. It's a great thing. And he was very earnest. So if it wasn't for Todd encouraging me all along the way, I never would have applied for that position, similar to the way that Justin did and been appointed back in 2013. And he was definitely persistent. Every time he saw me, he grabbed me and pulled me aside and said, hey, think about, getting more involved if you can. And Todd, as I said, talked a lot about the fact that it was a labor of love, and also talked a lot about the fact that the real difference is made in local governments. That you can say what you want about what happens in Columbus and Washington, D.C., but the real change is made right here on the City Council and the Board of Ed. So those things resonated with me. I just want to thank Todd for his mentorship and his leadership. I want to thank the people of the city of Wyoming who elected me twice to be their representative. I ran into Mary Killen once after I think I was reelected on the street, and she stopped me and said, Aaron, people trust you. And I never really thought about that until Mary said it that way, and it really was moving and sticks with me to this day. So I want to thank the people of the city of Wyoming who came out to vote and who put their trust in me. I want to thank the original board members I served with and previous board members like Debbie and Lynn. In particular, Lynn and Scott Boster. Jeannie, I'll get back to you here in a second here, but Jeannie was one of the original members I served with too. And that was a great group. And as I mentioned earlier, I learned so much about what it is to be a board member, how to act with each other, how to respect one another, how to have dialogue with each other. Without folks like Scott Boster and Lynn and Todd and Jeannie and Debbie and Terry Marty and other folks who've been on the board before, who are icons as far as I'm concerned, I would not have learned how to be an effective board member just by watching them and talking to them. There are too many administrators, I couldn't possibly name them all in the 8 years that I've been here, but there are a few that I want to call, and in particular, Mary Killen, who first got me involved in the CAC. Actually, if truth be known, I think Mary asked Cincy Meese to get involved in the CAC, and Cincy Meese said, Aaron Meese is a better choice. So I was second string, but it all worked out in the end. So I'm really happy for Mary Killen. That's how my life usually goes. I'm usually the second choice, which is okay, Cincy Meese. So Mary Killen was the person who got me started and encouraged me 3 years in the CAC. Aaron Marshall, who I got to know as principal at Wyoming High School through many, many years, also was one of my wife's bosses, which was one way I got to know him. But just a good friend and a great family man. Jennifer Klein, who had I think all 3 of my kids at one point or another in the buildings, was on 2 negotiation teams with me, and just a great principal and someone who my kids really looked up to. Ashley Whiteley, I learned so much about curriculum, the niceties of running a K-12, a K-12 district policy, all the fine details. Every meeting, Ashley was the one who was there, who was either in negotiations or at the board meeting, teaching me so much about how the district runs. Ladora Hill, Kathy Demers, and certainly Susie Hankey. Susie, who's been such a big help professionally or as a board member and personally over the course of the last several years, especially when we were hiring Tim. I can't thank all of you and all those who I didn't name. Thank you very much. The school foundation, the boosters, PSA, the School Music Association, our district wouldn't be what it is without these groups who are willing to put the elbow grease in, ask for checks, and sometimes write those, actually a lot of times write those checks, which are all really important for our district to keep running. Not only the volunteers, but the time and effort and the treasure that those folks put into supporting our schools. We couldn't do it without them. The leadership of Sue Lang while I was on the board the first time around, I want to thank her for her leadership. To Tim Weber and to Rhonda Johnson. We are in such a great place as a school district because of you two and the leadership that you've exhibited and will continue to exhibit. Tim, the last 2 years, you've been a fantastic leader for this board. You've done so much in the first 2 years. You're so committed to this district. People, absolutely everyone I meet at every street corner in Wyoming are so excited about your leadership. And Rhonda, your ability to transmit the details of financial, of K-12, running of K-12 school district financials to the man on the street, woman on the street is unparalleled. And your leadership and to the board is also unparalleled. So thanks to the two of you guys. I leave feeling a lot better about things because you two are in place and the district is in great shape because of your leadership. The current board members with whom I serve, so Ilya, Heather, and Kara, you guys are a great team. I really enjoyed, I'm so grateful for your comments, but I really enjoyed serving with you. We really solved a lot of problems. We could be honest with each other, but we were always listening to each other and respectful. And I know Justin's joining a great team and you guys are going to continue to do great things. So thank you for your time and your service. It was a pleasure serving with all of you. I want to thank Jeannie for her leadership. Jeannie was thrown into becoming the school board president when there was let's just say there's a lot of ambiguity, right? Jeannie, maybe bordering on chaos sometimes. What I always admired about you, Jeannie, is you're willing to roll up your sleeves, to work hard, and to listen. You're a really good listener, Jeannie, and I always admired your ability to really listen to everybody's opinions, synthesize it, give it back to us, and either make a decision or help us get to a decision as a group, and it's really unparalleled. Probably, I say a lot of times leadership is teaching, so it's probably not a big surprise that you're a great leader because of your experience as a teacher and as an educator. So thank you for all you've done. I want to thank the teachers of the Wyoming City Schools. You guys all know that's where the story really begins for me. My parents taught collectively for nearly 7 decades in public schools in Illinois. And when Todd Levy first approached me, my first thought was of my mom and dad, and that's really what got me started on the CAC and in the school board, on the Board of Education. So the teachers, in my mind, are the everyday heroes of the school district. And I can't thank them enough for just not only what they did for my individual children, but what they do every day working with the children in the city schools. And there are a couple of folks that I want to call out just because I got to know them through the negotiation process. And I would really want, as many of you have mentioned, the community to know the amazing approach that the Education Association brings to these negotiations, their spirit of collaboration, their spirit of wanting to get things done. So to Sandy Zufli, Todd Seiler, Alton Colleen, Todd Wagenhart, David Ambrose, and Beth Smith. I know I left a few people out, so I apologize. These are great, great people who've been, I've gotten really to know really well. I thank them for their service. I thank all the teachers for their service, but in particular, those folks for their dedication to representing their membership. To the students and the parents of the city of Wyoming, the students show up every day with a positive attitude. Yes, that's my dog trying to get in the office, so I apologize for that. But with the students who show up every day with a smile on their face, maybe not always with a smile on their face, but with a positive attitude to want to learn every single day. And to all of those parents, especially those parents who volunteer. I know I don't have to share with any of you the army of volunteers during the day, on weekends and evenings who make this, help the city schools go. Thank you very much for your time and your dedication. And last, but certainly not least, and this is probably where it's going to get me, I want to thank my family. So since Emise, there was never a board meeting or a policy meeting or a finance committee meeting that she did when I told her, hey, I got to go to a board meeting at 7 in the morning or 5 o'clock at night. She'd smile and say, okay, we'll see you when you're done, and push me out the door and got me going. So for that support, and for 25 years of marriage, I wanted to say thank you very much. And I love you. And to my 3 kids, so my son, John, my daughters, Anna, Kate, and Caroline, there were more than a few Monday nights when they looked at me and said, where are you going? And I said, got a school board meeting, guys. And they had a forlorn look on their faces, but they always knew the importance of what we were doing collectively and how I was able to contribute to that. And they'll get their Monday nights back now. So, so I want to thank them for their willingness, to Cincy and my kids, their willingness to share me with the city school. So Justin, congratulations. I'm really excited for you. You're going to be a fantastic board member. You're really prepared and you're joining a great team. I know you guys are going to do great, great things as an administration and as a school board. I'm really excited for what the school district has in store and where you're going to go. My adventure at Xavier continues. We'll welcome a new president on Thursday, Dr. Colleen Hadich from LaSalle University in Philadelphia, and I'll start my doctorate in early August. So thanks very much to all of you. John Meese is an 8th grader, so I'll be around as a parent for at least 5 more years. And you'll see, and yes, Debbie, you'll see me running on the pike as long as my knees will let me do it. So thanks very much to all of you. I can't thank you enough for your kind words, but you guys are going to be great, and I'll be rooting for you from the sidelines as long as I can. So take care and Godspeed, guys.
Thank you. Wow. Could we just have a few minutes and let that all? Wow, thank you. This is a great place, isn't it? All right. Well, if I go back to the agenda, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, bye,
Congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to joining the board and just really filling the spot that Aaron is leaving. And I know you've left a legacy, and I just hope to continue on the great work you've already done.
I still will not have to come back to a board meeting because they got a great team. Don't expect to see me anytime soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love
All right.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda would be recognition of the public, but we do not have any on our list tonight. So I'm going to move on to the board committee reports. There is no finance committee report, but there is a citizens advisory committee update.
I'll go ahead and share a little bit of information. We did have a CAC meeting on June 10th. Our plan during that conversation was to review the studies from this past school year. And we also discussed the plans for CAC for the 21-22 school year and started to get some things moving in preparation for the upcoming school year. We also discussed the application process because we're going to need new membership on the CAC. And I will say that was communicated. The application process was open and communicated again last week, and it will remain open. I believe, I see Susie nodding, I believe through August 1st. And so if that's an interest of you, and you heard it during the conversation here, the importance and the value of that role and the great things that the CAC does for Wyoming City Schools, there's definitely an opportunity to do that. And so just a shout out again to the CAC members. Thank you for your great work throughout the year. And the feedback that we've received with regard to school start times and school financial planning has been a great wealth of information to future decision making.
Thank you. I appreciate the work of the CAC, especially these last 2 years as you've kind of focused on specific topics and gone into some depth to give us some really good, solid information to use. So I appreciate what the CAC has done. And our two representatives, Ilya and Heather.
One thing, Jeannie, we talked about was how the learnings and summaries of things that teams in the last few years have shared can be kept in front of us as we go month to month, year to year, because there's been a lot of really important insights, both data gathered and perspective. And I think it's just helpful for us when we're in discussions and conversations. And those things exist in their full summaries on the website and other places. But we talked about how could we have highlights, one-page summaries of some of those important things that the team shared with us, just so we have it available to us at all times, because there's just been a lot of valuable perspective.
That's great.
Right.
Did the group talk about whether they're doing 2 or 3 studies next year, or is that to be determined?
Be determined.
To be determined, right? And so that that'll be future conversation with the Board of Education too, to identify the specific areas to study, I think, and then that will help determine how many of those would be carried out next year.
Okay.
So
I know
we
I've
should
had
spread the word that sorry, Jeannie. I was just going to say we should, spread the word that the application is up until August 1st. If you know folks that would be good in this role and represent the community well.
Yeah, we talked about the benefit of 3, meaning you had maybe a different number of people in a given study. And I think the extent to which we can highlight to people that this is important, necessary work, and we need great people, the more we think about, we have a long list of really good things we haven't gotten to yet. I'd be leaning forward to say, how might we ensure we can get to 3 of those with a good number of people and have the right number of people in the team for each of those, so that there's not 9 people in the meeting, but also not 2. And so we'll keep working through. Tim's been leading thoughts on that process very well.
Awesome. Good. All right. Thank you. All right. If I move on to the Superintendent Committee Liaison reports, there is no Business Advisory Committee meeting, but would anyone like to share any information on community engagement? I know you've all been out of town, so.
Ilya, you did Juneteenth, didn't you?
I did. I was going to say that we
but I
didn't.
heard it was great.
I was going to say that we didn't have one of the Wyoming School Foundation meetings in the month since then, but the Juneteenth, which was done by the Wyoming Community in Action team, a really impactful group of people representing the entire community. I think some of the people participating also represented all of the different faith elements in our community, as well as from different walks of life and what we're doing, coming together to celebrate that event, which we were able to kind of share some perspective on, in context. I think it was a few days after Juneteenth was established as a federal holiday for the first time in our nation's history. So it was well attended, a lot of really good energy, kind of in the area. And so it was great to do. Really thank the Community in Action team for putting that together and just telling folks where they needed to be to do their part. And so that was my role: show up, gotta help out. So it was good to be a part of it.
I happened to be in the middle school last week, and the science camp was going full blast. They were dropping things and making things and shooting things, and it was great to see. It's just a fabulous thing. So that was a great way to see a very full middle school. Had you been in the middle school that day, you would not have realized it was summer vacation, because it was full.
Which is great. And I do think you're right, like Ilya was saying, some of the committee meetings that maybe we do for PSA, we haven't done that, but even just in terms of community, the Fine Arts Center had their Loving Wyoming, like an art show and a gathering of community members too, which was great. It's just neat to start seeing people in person who can gather for wonderful reasons and diverse groups of people to talk about stuff. So
yep,
that was a great event too.
And I'm not sure if we discussed the PSA event that they did at, what's it called? Strickler's
Grove.
We
Yeah.
did go to that.
But I caught the tail end of that, and boy, do I commend those volunteers, because they really wanted to make some form of May Fete happen for the kids. I think it was probably a break-even adventure in terms of raising money, but just to kind of continue that tradition in some form for the benefit of and joy of our kids was, hats off to the PSA for making that go.
Yeah, they did great. I know the kids got to ride and they had snacks. It was really sweet. I'm glad they got to do that.
So it's a good idea. All right, thank you. The Equity, Inclusion, and Anti-Racism Committee has some reports, correct? You've had some meetings.
Yes, we actually met today, and I'll take the lead. If anyone else wants to join in, that's fine too. But we met today to talk about the structure of the Belonging and Inclusion Collaborative and our work next year. And in previous meetings, we talked about how we're restructuring the work of that group to mirror the structure of the CAC, because the CAC works so well as we divide and look at different topics and accomplish the very most that we can within that committee. And so the Belonging and Inclusion Collaborative is going to do the same thing as we do all we can to create an environment that works for our students. Again, our goal is to create an environment where all students, all staff members, and families feel connected, feel valued, and feel included in this great sense of belonging. We talk a lot about belonging. And so all this work is wrapped around creating that culture of belonging, and excited to continue that work, and excited to do it in a way where we can be productive and utilize the structure of CAC that we know works so very well.
All right, thank you. The Facilities Committee has a report.
You want to keep, how do you feel, Tim? I can.
Well, I can, you want me to start? You want to go?
I'll start for you. I'll give you a second.
Go for it.
We got to meet earlier in the month and with the committee and take the tour. It was great for Ilya and I to get to go see all of the buildings. Jan got to drive us around, and then got to go from the school van in the different facilities. And I think it's important to note too, I know historically there have been some community members who have been a part of that too. And I think that comes a little bit later. I know this one was more for the board, for Ilya and I to get really up to speed on looking at the facilities, the long-term plan of what that looks like, what we can afford to get to, which of course is always more, than maybe to look at the real financial impact of how we prioritize what's needed for the building. So it was a great discussion, several hours of a little field trip all together to see the different buildings.
I didn't hear about the point you got to ride in the van. Whoa.
We thought that you're either walking to all the buildings together, or we might as well just, have a little field trip in the Cleary's, maybe, I don't know, one of the vans that's named. So it was good. It was, they answered lots of questions. Ilya and I both said, I don't want to speak for you, but it's interesting to us to get to see, down to like the boiler room. Things that there's certain buildings that we're all a little more familiar with for each other. Like if my kids went to Hilltop, I was there a little more frequently, but to really get into the bits of the building and around the buildings and look at HVAC, all of it, to really look at the chart on the projections of what you're looking at and how detailed Rhonda and Jan and Tim have been of like making the charts and what that looks like, because I think historically that hasn't been present. So for all of us to look at really when things are getting replaced, what the projections are for them to get replaced, what that would cost, how that looks, you guys have organized that beautifully. I think it was very helpful. That's my take on the.
Yeah, that's That's great. You've captured it. And Jan Wilking, our business manager, has done such a nice job in really creating the comprehensive permanent improvement plan that identifies all those things related to facilities that might be needed here in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. Because the goal is no surprises. We want to know what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to know how we need to know how to take care of our school district, much like all of our community members would with their homes. And so, having a very clear direction and a clear picture of what our needs will be now and in the future helps us just be the most fiscally responsible agency that we can. And so the work of that committee is very powerful. So thank you for being involved.
What is the time frame for sharing the facilities report, like that 2-year, 5-year, 10-year with the board? Is there a timeline on Jan's?
I would say that's coming within the next maybe 2 to 3 months. We did some preliminary work just to do some history, like a history lesson with the committee. And then we did some detailed analysis of the plan. And then we took a tour to look at some of the questions we had about some of the really key components of that plan. And then, we took our meeting was on June 11th. I don't think we have anything scheduled till maybe even later in July. So we come back and sort of revisit the information that we learned on the tour, and then maybe do some preliminary prioritization, and then bring that back perhaps to a planning meeting at the board, maybe in August or September.
Yeah. I thought, Rhonda, there's a 5-year kind of window or thing that we use, that we've reviewed as far as the projection in the past. So the benefit of the sheet and the process really is it goes beyond just the 5 to think to the 20 and the 10 and all that. But I think the other thing is the district has talked a number of times about how confident we should be with the intentionality and the long view on things, but also the way that the process is built with inputs from people at every grade level, from the elementary to middle and high school. We have new leaders coming in who I know have already kind of been able to share their perspective. For me, one of the things was to see some of the choices, that we're making to prop up in some ways, to fix up elements of our elementary buildings and whatnot, and realizing what the consequences of some of those things are relative to how it is necessary to get us back to a level, but not necessarily advancing the experience of education with some of the investments that we're making in the elementary at different points. So that's the part I'm excited to engage parents and others in the community on at the right time, in the right way, just because that level of awareness helps us make great choices, that really serve that 5 and 10-year future. So we had a number of wonderful moments that you couldn't, the color commentary, you just missed the country music, kind of in the van, as we got in riding around, the pictures in the boiler room, for inspiration, whatnot. So it was special and neat to be a part of. So thanks for dealing with us, Rhonda. Really appreciate it.
Ilya, on your tour, did anything surprise you or anything? What was your most memorable part of the tour, or something you say, oh, wow, what was that?
Well, there was a picture of Jesus in the boiler room that said, stay out, get out, kind of was a little bit of like a Friday the 13th. If I wasn't there with 5 people, I would have turned around pretty quickly. But you said surprising. But it was more, for me, the benefit of confirming what the evidence on the documents talks about relative to the intentionality. And so you're able to see what some of those things are going to be and realize that we have these many needs and we have a certain resource, and just going through what that process looks like to make the right choice got me in touch with the challenge, of it, that Jan and folks are leading. So when they come to this conversation around what the choice is and whatnot, it just gave more context behind what's been evaluated, considered prior to getting to that conversation. So it enhanced my confidence. And I guess surprising, well, for me, I hadn't seen, my children went to Hilltop, but I hadn't seen some of the elements associated with either the playground, or the building, kind of on that hill, challenged and in a bit of a precarious situation as we think about future years. And so people have talked about that, being able to see it gave a different context for an urgency to find what could be a better mid or long-term solution for them.
All right. Thank you. The next is policy review. Policy hasn't actually met, but we do have a second reading that we'll get to in the next under Board of Education reports, and student achievement has not met. So Justin, now you've kind of seen how we go through all the committees and report back. Justin, as you all remember, is our representative on the Great Oaks. So he's going to stay with that. So that's a huge commitment of time, talent. And so rather than just take on all of Aaron's jobs, we've asked Justin to continue on the policy committee. That would be teamed with me, and on the equity, inclusion, and anti-racism committee, and that would be teamed with Kara. And those will be his committee assignments at the moment.
Looking forward to it. I'm glad I get to stay with Great Oaks. I love being on that board. It's a great group of people. They are a cast of characters, which I love.
And we can easily add Great Oaks to our monthly reports with, you know, as you see a need to keep us informed, please do.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Board of Education reports, there are 2 second reads. One is the district calendar for the year 22-23. And the other one is the policy number 2431, interscholastic athletics, which if you remember correctly, that had to do with the athletic eligibility. So are there any questions, comments? And if not, may I have a motion to approve the Board of Education report?
So moved.
All right, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. G,
Yes.
Mrs. Zoller,
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Buckner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yay.
Wow, first time on that. Wow.
Got it.
Right. Treasurer's report. We'll hand that over to Rhonda.
Thanks, Jeannie. Item A, approval of the minutes from the board meetings on May 24th, then the planning meeting on June 8th, and the special meeting of June 14th. Item B, approval of the statement of revenues and expenditures for month ending May 31st. Item C, accept with appreciation 1 donation from the Wyoming School Foundation. Item D, final appropriations for fiscal year 21 as we approach June 30th in just a couple days. Hopefully you all saw the updated version of that come via email today. Things are changing fast and furious as we try to tidy up everything for fiscal year end. So the update that I sent today is the final version. Item E, temporary appropriations for fiscal year 22. When we start the new fiscal year on Thursday, we need temporary appropriations to be able to begin our work. Item F, the annual extension of our transportation agreement with Laughlin. We partner with Laughlin to transport our students that attend Great Oaks, and they reimburse us for some of that transportation expense. Item G, the annual resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payment of taxes. Without this resolution, we have to wait till final settlement, which comes sometime at the end of August or September. So this allows us to receive monthly distributions of the property taxes as they've been paid. And this is very important to our cash flow needs. Item H, the Perfection Group contract renewal. This is our HVAC 3-year risk management and maintenance agreement. Been partnering with Perfection. This is our second 3-year agreement with them. So excited to see some reduction in cost as we continue to make some changes and improvements in some of our HVAC. Item I is advance to federal funds. All of our federal funds are on a reimbursement basis. So we have to spend all the federal funds and then request reimbursement from the state. We requested all of our federal funds in compliance with the fiscal year end deadlines, but with all of the ESSER funding, there's just no guarantee that we're going to get those before June 30th. So we request the advancements just in case. Those are just cash transactions that happen on June 30th in order to balance our books, because Ohio law doesn't allow you to close your books with any fund negative cash. And then if we don't receive it by June 30th and I have to make the advance, then the advances would just come back.
Did she freeze on everyone else?
Yeah.
I'll text you.
Rhonda, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're frozen.
Here she's back.
Oh.
Okay, you're back.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was frozen.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. If somebody motioned, I missed it.
Just as you were moving funds around,
You froze at like the end of your sentence before you even called for the very end of it.
Okay,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
You made it through most of it.
Okay, are there any questions?
No.
I have one question. It's not related to the report though, but some things happened in Columbus today regarding our biennium budget, and I wondered if you could bring us up to date, if you have any inside knowledge.
I have some knowledge. I don't know if it's inside knowledge. The House Bill 110 Conference Committee did meet today. Conference committee happens when the House passes a version of the budget and the Senate passes a version of the budget and they don't agree. So leadership from both of those go to conference committee. They've been meeting since earlier in the month of June. Conference committee was scheduled to meet this morning at 10. And then what was on the schedule is that the House and the Senate were supposed to approve something later this afternoon. We have not seen any official bill language or any simulations as of yet. Checked it right before this meeting started at 7. The Ohio Revised Code calls that a budget has to be approved and signed by the governor by July 1st. So I maybe expect to see some of that detail as we move through the evening tonight. And when I get it, I'll certainly share it with the board. We did hear from our legislative organizations that the Fair School Funding Plan or the Cup-Patterson funding model was the baseline for what was going to be approved today. That is, if you remember, that is not the one that gave us any additional revenue, at least not in the next couple of years. But we had forecasted a flat line in state funding in our last few 5-year forecast. So we're not surprised, but continue to watch that as it will move quickly over the next 2 days.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Justin seconds. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Yee,
Yes.
Mrs. Aller,
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Buckner,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Buckner, I don't know if you figured out her scheme, but she goes in alphabetical order, but she moves it around.
Yeah, it took me many months to figure that out.
I knew there was some alphabet. Maybe it was an ancient language alphabet or something, but I was trying to figure out the pattern.
Yeah, she's keeping you on your toes.
You're doing
Yeah.
well, Justin. You already unmute and mute yourself better than we do. We've been doing this for a year.
I've been on a virtual call or two over the past year.
That's a skill. That's a skill.
I think she rotates it to keep it fun for her too. And I just want to thank you, Justin, for being a BU last name. So there's still a person between Kara and I. Aaron was in that
Right.
with the M, and so now it's still as it was before.
I think the rules are going to change now. Rhonda's going to mix it up probably now.
How about alphabetical order by middle name?
Oh, wow. You're really shaking stuff up. You can't just come here shaking everything up.
I'm here.
All right, with that, we're going to go on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, this is getting really exciting here. Okay, so thank you. You will see I have several personnel items that are recommended here on the agenda today. Number one is a recommendation to accept resignations that have been turned in this past month. Number two is a recommendation for new personnel, and this is for the high school and middle school auditorium manager. Number three, this is a recommendation to approve 3 days of pay for our evaluation committee. And our evaluation committee is helping us move from the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System, OTES, to OTES 2.0. It's a move we've got to make, and this group has really helped to make that transition process a positive one for our teaching staff. So valuable time. Number four is a recommendation to approve pay for these intervention specialists, and they are working on designing plans for students. And so again, time well spent. Number five is a recommendation to pay this primary team, and this team is working on their building schedule. And we know we've looked at what the opportunity is to make our schedule work better for students. And so this team is putting in the time to make those improvements. And overall, we think these changes are going to, again, benefit students, benefit staff. And so the changes, I think, will be positive. So again, great use of funds, great use of time for that team. Number 6 is recommendation to approve 2 new job descriptions. The first one is cafeteria and recess aide. And this is a role that's going to be utilized at the primary level right now to help supervise students. Really, we're looking at that recess time. And so we're looking for individuals who will supervise students so that they can have safe play during their recess time. But that also is going to impact our schedule and the way that we work with teachers. It's going to open up opportunities for some of our teachers to spend more time with students. And so that's a very positive outcome of the work on the schedule, but also the addition of this role in the cafeteria and recess aide. The next individual job description we have is for a parent resource liaison mentor. And again, another powerful opportunity here in the district that will be put in place. And the goal for this individual is to really enhance the partnership between families and school personnel around special education. We know that we've set out to improve upon that partnership, and this is one way that we can do that. This person will act as a mentor to parents and a resource to families with regard to questions that come up around special education. They're going to work closely with Tracy Quattrone, our Director of Pupil Services, to support special education services in the district, and again, answer those questions that families have. From the very onset of times in which they need support, all the way through the process of special education. We're hoping this individual would also be a connector to connect families to resources that are available to them and help coach them through that process. So I'm very excited about the impact and the opportunity that this role will have on our families. To support them through what can be a very difficult process. So as we utilize this role, we'll continue to learn more and create opportunities through this role. At the beginning, we're thinking they're probably going to be spending about 10 to 15 hours a week and supporting families, and we'll see how that goes. Again, the goal with that is to offer that support, and so we'll use data and we'll use feedback to see how that needs to grow in the future. But two job descriptions that end up being pretty powerful in the way they impact kids and families. Number 7 is a recommendation to approve an additional workday for our school nurse, Nicole Murphy, and that is to support contact tracing that's happened throughout the year. Number 8, we have a recommendation to approve these non-athletic supplemental contracts. And so if you look through this list, you'll see great opportunities for our students, and excited to have these positions filled and the people who are interested in filling these roles, because again, they equate to opportunities for students and better instruction in the classroom for students. Number 9, you'll see we have one athletic supplemental contract recommended for approval. That's the high school varsity boys lacrosse assistant coach. Number 10, as you know, we've been working on handbooks, and so we've made some revisions to our handbooks. We'll continue to look at our handbooks to make sure that they reflect the environment that we're trying to build in our primary schools, middle school, and our high school. And so they are on our agenda for approval. Number 11, we do have a recommendation to approve pay for curriculum writing. And this curriculum writing is within new courses or revised courses that were established over the past several months. So we're excited about these opportunities, and it's paid for these individuals to either revise or write the curriculum for those courses. And number 12 came up. This is an approval for the science and technology camp that's going on. Jeannie was speaking about this. Kids are having a great time. They are getting messy and they love it. And it's been nice to see the interaction between our students and our staff members. Our staff members are coming back excited to be part of this too. So it's been great to see in the summertime. So shifting gears, we have other items that are on the superintendent's report for approval, and I'll pull items B through J together. These are specific services that are contracts for services that are put in place to support students, specific students' needs. These are continuation contracts that are being continued for different services, again, to support students. Again, so those are up for renewal, if you will, as they're being continued. Item K is a recommendation to approve the continuation of our contract with the Pepsi beverage company. And so that's, again, something that would be continued. And that's a long list, but I think that is all I have.
All right.
Can I say a quick something before? I just wanted to thank you. It's such a long list that I just wanted to draw like two quick things. Number 6, I just loved that there's the job descriptions and we've had time to read those, but just on our point, dress code or even the handbooks are in there, but I appreciate that every year, even though we don't write it and we always get to look at it, that you give us the opportunity to look at it. And such things have come up over the years that for me, what stood out was dress code, that you're really trying to make that more cohesive for all the buildings. Like when reading that was something that I hear a lot from students, even myself as a parent, for my own children. So to read those, it's something that I appreciate that you all take the time, because I know those are very long, and I think they're just starting to like read much better together even. So I know that's just one little snippet from all of those things, but there's a lot of good things mushed into your report. So just want to draw
thank
one
you.
or two of them.
Yep. So thanks to Dr. Whiteley and the work that you've done with the building administrators, right? We've talked about those documents as being a critical way that we can share the culture and climate that we have in our buildings. And so we want them to be a resource to our families. They're a communication tool. And so we're going to continue to work with those to make sure that they reflect the climate that we're trying to develop that works best for kids. So thank you.
I'd like to draw attention to something in your long list. Well, 2 things. One, just to add our thanks to the long list of supplemental, non-athletic supplementals that are going to teachers. I counted, and it's almost 75. Those are things like robotics club, French club, power the pen. Down the line, these are things that support the whole child, and our teachers go above and beyond. And I'm just grateful that we're in a district that provides this kind of support. So thank you to all of those teachers. The other thing I want to point out is Tim described the new position in special ed or to support those families. And that is something that we have heard for several years from families, that there needs to be better communication, better connection. And Tim, you have listened to that and looked for ways to provide the best support and to connect with those families. And I know we'll keep doing that and hopefully get better all the time. It's an ongoing process, but this is an important position, even if it is just 10 to 15 hours a week to start. This is something that the administration has recognized as important. They've listened to our parents and the communication we've received. You all have, so thank you so much.
No, I appreciate that. And Tracy Quattrone has really worked hard to put that in place, and for that to be something that is the impact of that is what we're looking for. And that is all connected to that partnership. And so again, as we start new things, we learn a lot, and we'll make that work the very best that it can. And that will be a good thing for us. And I appreciate the comment about these supplementals, because the number of individuals who have stepped up to do these things is pretty extraordinary. Coming off of such a difficult year, I think is to be commended. And these are individuals this past year who've done this, and they've had to think about different ways to operate within a pandemic. And they're coming right back to set up these opportunities for students. And many of our students, this is their favorite connection sometimes, and it's how they continue to be engaged, and it's where they meet new friends and make new relationships outside of what they experience every day in school. So powerful on many, many levels. And so, yeah, it's great that we can offer those things.
I think it's neat that we have both the chess club and a ping pong club. I mean, that's a different sort of set of students, I think, who are engaging there. My daughter's in ping pong club, so I appreciate that, although it's not just personal. I did want to also mention the role on the parent resource liaison. I think it's a neat expression of investing resources to respond, in spaces where people are saying there's a benefit of the children, and the families being connected and being included in what we're doing. The teachers who are teaching those kids are already doing, the piece to sort of manage those interactions as best they can. And this role doesn't mean that they don't keep doing that. It's not this person is everything now kind of in this area, but it is additional so that there's a level of touch and engagement that's responding to what people have said would be valuable and helpful for them as folks in the district. And so it's another area where we're trying to make sure they experience inclusion in the Wyoming way and the greatness of our district. And I appreciate the effort to start that, small as an investment and understand where it goes from there based on what the need continues to be.
Absolutely. Well, if I may, then may I have a motion to approve the superintendent's report?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Zoller,
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Buckner,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shee.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That lets a lot of people get started for next year.
Yeah.
We are at the superintendent's update.
Okay, well, we are officially in summer mode now, and so we're doing summertime things, and so we've shifted gears a little bit, and so right now, obviously one of the big things we're focused on is finalizing our staff for the upcoming year, and we're in great shape. We're excited for new folks to join our Wyoming City Schools team and connect with kids. We have some exciting events coming up this week. We have our new principal meet and greets happening. So tomorrow we have our high school. Mr. Stallings will be meeting with community members from 6:30 to 7:30, and that will be at the high school. And then our primary school's principal, Mrs. Kirshner, is going to be meeting with new families. She'll have a different event each night for a different primary school. So Elm will be tomorrow, and that will be at 5:30 at Elm. At Hilltop will be Wednesday, and that's at 5:30. And Vermont will be Thursday at 5:30. I'm seeing Susie nod her head. Those. I want to make sure that I got those correct for anyone who's viewing this. Yeah. So great opportunity to meet two highly qualified principals who are excited to get moving with kids. These people have been around and connecting with staff members, with community members, with kids in any way they can. And so just a great opportunity early on in the summer to continue to increase those connections and build those relationships so that we're ready to go day one. For all new staff, we will be sharing more information as we get closer to the school year. We'll be celebrating all of our new folks that are coming in here to Wyoming City Schools. So just be on the lookout for those things as they come up. I just want to give a shout out to everyone who is working to prepare our buildings and our facilities for next year. Our maintenance team has done an exceptional job, and there's no time wasted. The students leave, they've got their plan in place, they're ready to go, they're managing their plan, and working side by side as we've got things happening in different buildings. They've got it all coordinated, and so they're cleaning rooms, they're making sure that things are set. We're shifting away from some of the structures that have been in our buildings from the pandemic and making some of the modifications that we planned for. And then Jan, our business manager, is managing all of those facility projects that are set for the summer. So we're moving in a very good direction, and we will be ready for the students to return. A lot of exciting things happening. And then, what you often don't see is our building instructional leaders working behind the scenes to get things set for in the classroom. And so our teachers are hard at work during the summer times, and that's reading books, that's going to professional development, that's working together, that's making plans, that's looking through new resources that are exciting for students. So all that work and preparation happens during this time, so that kids come into a classroom that's ready to go. And I think there's probably no more excitement than there is for this upcoming year as we come to a more normal school year. So lots of great preparation happening so that August 12th, our first day of school, is an exciting one for kids. And so we're all looking forward to that. But before that, we want our families to enjoy the summertime. We want our families to connect with one another in any way that's special for them. So we got some time to do that, but we'll be ready to go come August 12th. That's it. That's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Then I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
May I have a second? I'll second. And may I have a roll call?
Mrs. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Buckner, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. G,
Yes.
Mrs. Zoller.